Hello and welcome to Policy Watch by Policy TV. I'm Miberon Omoluju. Let's begin with something many Nigerians experienced this week. Fuel prices jumped from around 925 naira per litre to about 1,200 naira within days in many parts of the country. And in some places, it has even gone higher. Now, pause for a moment and think about what that actually means for Nigerians. Because fuel in Nigeria is not just about your cars. Fuel powers homes, it powers businesses, hospitals, and even our offices. And that's because the electricity supply is still unreliable. So when fuel prices go up this fast, the effect spreads across the entire economy almost immediately. Think about a typical household. If you own a car and you also rely on a generator at home because of constant power outages, your monthly fuel expenses can easily cross 70,000 naira to about 100,000 naira or even more, depending on how often you run your generator. And that's just for one household. Now imagine small businesses, barbers, restaurants, cyber cafes, cold room operators. Many of them rely on generators to survive. So when fuel hits 1,200 naira per litre, it doesn't just affect transportation, it affects the food price, the cost of services, and the survival of many small businesses. Restaurants increase food prices, transport fares rise, hospitals spend more to power life-saving equipment, businesses struggle even harder just to stay open. It's a ripple effect. And here's the troubling part. This increase didn't happen slowly. Reports show petrol prices have risen more than 20% within a single week in some areas. In fact, retail prices in cities like Abuja, Ibadan, and Lagos have climbed to between 1,200 naira and 1,300 naira per litre, depending on the station. And in the midst of all of these, Nigerians are also dealing with something else: scarcity. The price quietly climbs even higher at some stations. But why exactly is this happening? There are several factors behind it. First, Nigeria now operates a fully deregulated fuel market, which means petrol prices are influenced by global crude oil prices, exchange rates, and supply costs. Second, rising tensions in global oil markets, particularly geopolitical conflicts affecting oil supply routes, have pushed crude oil prices upward, which then affects fuel prices locally. And then there is Nigeria's long-standing structural problem. Despite being one of Africa's largest oil producers, Nigeria still struggles with domestic refining capacity, meaning the country historically depended heavily on imported fuel. This creates vulnerability to global price shocks. But here is where the issue becomes deeper than just fuel prices. When electricity supply is unreliable, Nigerians compensate with generators. When generators run, they require fuel. And when fuel prices rise sharply, the cost of living rises across the entire economy. In other words, Nigerians are not just paying for fuel. They are paying for the absence of a stable infrastructure. They are paying to power their homes. They are paying to power their businesses. They are paying to power the economy itself. And while all of this is happening, public conversation is often dominated by viral moments and internet distractions. But the real structural issues, electricity, fuel dependency, energy policy, quietly continues to shape our lives. We must continue to push for and aggressively invest in decentralized electricity, especially solar and mini-grid systems. Africa has sunlight. In fact, we have more than enough sunlight, and Nigerians can certainly attest to that, especially with the scorching heat we have experienced across the country in the past couple of months. Imagine if we began to truly harness that same sunlight to power our homes, our businesses, our schools and hospitals. Solar energy gives us an opportunity to generate electricity right where it's needed. Countries like Kenya and India have already used mini-grid systems to electrify rural communities and support small businesses. Nigeria has started experimenting with these systems as well, but experts say the scale needs to increase significantly if it is going to make a real difference. Because if we continue to rely on generators and fuel, the average Nigerian will continue to suffer the brunt of an expensive and unreliable energy system. Thank you for watching. I'm Miberon Omoloju, and this is Policy Watch by Policy TV. Goodbye.